Welcome in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene is here in the producer chair. How are you doing,
Nick.
Carlene? How are you doing?
I'm good.
I got a chance to go outside for a little bit.
Cold.
It's cold. It fooled me because the sun is out.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to feel great. And
Don't
then I had to zip up the jacket a little bit. All the way up to
I'm
the top
over
of my
it.
neck. I know you are, but it's going to be 80 degrees.
It's going to be 80 degrees soon.
We'll talk about the weather later. We'll get on that tangent later. But we got a special guest here in studio. So I'm going to do I'm going to have him rate this intro. Because I've been doing these intros lately. I want him to rate this intro. It's a lot of pressure because we got a special guest. A Baltimore native, a Wake Forest Hall of Famer, a North Carolina Sports Hall of Famer, a beloved former Charlotte Hornet. Helped lead the Hornets to their first ever playoff appearance in the early 90s. He worked in real estate, advertising, broadcasting. He was also the head coach of the Charlotte Sting, the WNBA team.
Shout out.
Shout out to them. More importantly, he has assisted thousands of folks and families with his foundation by addressing food insecurity, access to education, and workforce development. And he's here to talk about, we're talking about it all, from heart health to the NCAA Tournament to the Hornets. I'm talking about Mr. Muggsy Bogues. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Now you got to rank that intro. How was the intro?
Hey, you did good.
Okay.
It cost me quite a bit, but you did good.
How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm blessed to be here with you guys.
I was telling Muggsy as he was walking in. I said, man, what size is that jacket, man? I'm like, man, I wear large. I mean, did you see the jacket?
I love the jacket.
Like, okay, I was about to say. I'm
you
like,
got
all right.
704.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Let's start with heart health, man. I guess when you think about, a guy like yourself and these athletes, man, you guys are in tip-top shape. You don't really think of, as a viewer, as a fan, you're like, man, these guys are in shape. Well, heart health, they're good. When did that start? I know as an NBA player, as a professional athlete, I mean, you're all constantly being checked by doctors, but when did that sort of come into play for you, thinking about your heart health?
Well, it always been in the play, back of your mind.
Yeah.
Always been, a thought process, but never really went through it until I retired. Even though you get your daily physicals and so forth, but I never really had a cardiovascular heart scan. But so I was interested. I wanted to find out what was going on. And crazy that I'm saying is that, I was recommended by the former owner of the Hornets, Mr. George Shen, who introduced me to Heartflow. And when I, realized what the company Heartflow stood for, and they partnered with Game Film in terms of providing insight and information to retired athletes to find out what's all going on inside, with your heart. And it's been amazing since I, joined and since I did the study and joined those guys, and just to find out what's going on. And I'm so thankful I did it. Because we never know what's happening inside. As you alluded to, being in tip-top shape, doing all the great things in terms of being the best professional athlete or athlete that you possibly can be, eating healthy, exercising right, but not knowing exactly what's going on around your heart. I think now they did a study where it starts at the age of 30, to where you need to be aware of that, how much plaque there possibly could be, generating around your heart. So when I had the opportunity to go through that study, and actually I got my wife to go through it as well. But it's been an eye-opener. It's been something that I've been, really advocating about because of some of my friends that I've lost, and basically could have been not knowing it could have been prevented. So I just want to be, spread the word as much as I possibly can, for us to check on our health. It's not just athletes. We have, and even in our community, we have a lot of underlying issues that goes along. So you got to make sure that, you find out what's all happening. And I think, it all starts with, checking your cholesterol and all that sort of stuff that give you that sign to knowing that this is something that we need to really, invest in, to really check on what's actually going inside with your heart.
And as you were talking about, as men, as black men, I mean, we stubborn about going to. I think it's changing a lot.
It is.
But historically, we've been stubborn because we've been scared to go to the doctor. You're scared of the unknown.
The unknown. That's right.
I guess for you, and you talked about your wife being a part of Heartflow. Can you walk us through like what exactly Heartflow is and what you guys had to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's Heartflow. You know, it's AI. It's a non-intensive type of study that's been done on it. It's a scan, basically saying, looking inside what's going on with the arteries, and being able to see exactly the type of plaque, volume that's inside, and it gives you that indication. It gives you that detailed insight to really knowing the volume that you have inside with your heart. And it's a diagram, you know. We visualize. It's a comprehensive assessment, a comprehensive assessment, I should say, in terms of actually finding out exactly what's going on inside of you. So, I'm so concerned, and I'm always, you know, concerned about my loved ones, and I want to make sure that, you know, for me personally, that I'm here for a long time. And a lot of us just don't want to know. You know, we just, as you said, we're afraid to know what's actually going on, but knowing, because you got so many people that cares for you. And not only that, it's good for your physician, you know, clinical as well, to know what type of, you know, risk you are, if you're high risk or you're low risk. So that information is always, you know, vital. And for me, personally, I just wanted to know what was all going on inside, because I know a lot of folks that rely on me, and I want to be here for a long time.
Oh man, we want you to be here for a long time, and we want to. I mean, we want to have you in here at 99 years old doing an interview.
Yeah. And the good thing about it is, you know, I know we're talking about retired athletes and a lot of athletes about being an athlete, but it's for everyone. You know, I mean, it's been a study that you need to age 30 years old, and that really just been detected. So it's be a good opportunity to really just find out, because you check with your insurance, quite sure it's covered through that, just to know what's all going on inside your arteries, because as we said, even an athlete as well as just an individual, you just don't know how much plaque that you're creating inside your heart.
Yeah, my father passed away from a massive heart attack when I was 7. And so I think about it, you know, old school guy, did not want to go to the doctor, but I think about it, you know, if you prioritize, and for me, you know, I got a physical next week. And so it's just me prioritizing my health, and I feel like that's just a great message to get out, especially young men, right? Because you think in your 20s, your 30s, and you're like, man, I'm invincible. Nothing can.
But that's how we think.
Yeah.
And that's just the, you know, the nature of it, that we feel good. You don't, you know, have no type of symptoms or anything. But again, it could be hereditary. You never know what's going on in your family, as you know, as some of us don't do that type of study and find out exactly what happened from generation to generation. But when you do have that understanding and have that information, it could be so helpful. I mean, it could put you at ease just knowing. And this test can give you that type of visual. It could give you that type of, detailed insight that actually what's going on inside.
Let's switch gears. You want to talk about some basketball?
Oh, we can talk about whatever. Come on,
man. You know, hey, can I?
But but we had to get the most important thing out of the way.
Oh, for sure. Yes,
talking about health, because we want everybody to be here for quite some time, and the only way we know is knowing what's going on inside. I don't like being a crap shooter, just walking around not knowing. I think we all afraid to know, but we do need to know, so we can all take advantage of Heartflow, what they all stands for. And if you need any information, you go to heartflow.com/Muggsy. So that is heartflow.com/Muggsy. You can find out all the information. And
know your numbers too. Know your numbers. Know your numbers. That's that's an important part.
Absolutely.
Eugene, man, I see you over there. You can't hide. Come on, Eugene. Come on. Pull up a seat, Eugene.
Come on in.
Pull up a seat, Eugene. We're talking basketball.
Yeah, you got right here. Absolutely, you can.
What up, homie?
What's up, buddy?
Eugene Robinson here in the building. I called Eugene.
Yeah.
He ain't answered. So I thought, I didn't text him back.
You were too busy for
I was supposed to be here Monday.
Let's talk about basketball. Y'all ready to talk about some basketball? What y'all want to start with? NCAA Tournament, or y'all want to do Hornets first?
Hey, that's the most exciting time of the year, with all the enthusiasm taking place around the country. So, you don't get that from the NBA. It's only through college where you have that type of enthusiasm about the sport of the game of basketball.
I got my bracket up. Did you fill out your bracket, Eugene?
Of course I did.
Okay.
I filled out 4 brackets, man. I do 4 brackets. I do 2 of the men's side, 2 of the women's side.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always do 4 brackets.
Well, who's your sleeper? Who's the Cinderella, I should say? And who's just the obvious? You think, all right, man, this team is gonna walk through it.
Well, I think people need to watch out about Arkansas.
I've been saying the same
Arkansas
thing.
It's mainly because of the players that they have. Of course, the coaches is one of the main reasons, but Darius A. Cup is something special. And when you got guard play like that, it always come down to guard play in the tournament. And he's one of the best, if not the best, point guard that's in the country. So I'm always worried about players and teams with a great coach like that. So that's one of my sleepers. I got Houston as well. Houston, Coach Sampson, he's been there.
Yeah.
And, he's been knocking on that door. And, even though I had Duke all the way up to the Final Four, and that's hard for me to pick Duke.
That's an ACC
being a Wake
guy.
Forest guy. Yeah, it's hard for me to pick Duke, but I think their injury is going to derail them a little bit. And I think Houston is going to come out of there, and I think Arizona could be that other team on the other side, to where you looking at, even though Michigan is really, something strong, as well as Arizona. But I think Arizona and Houston will be the two fighting to see who the last team standing. And I got Coach Sampson being that guy holding up that trophy.
See, I really think that St. John's, nobody's talking about St. John's.
St.
John's.
Coach Pitino.
They are very, very good. They end up in the Big East tournament. They end up beating the crap out of UConn. They dropped like 25 on them. And so I think people may be sleeping on them. But I think as you look at that tournament, I don't know. There's something about Arizona that I just think is their front quarters. They're good. They're good. They're big. They're good. And so they can put work in it. And I think the fact that maybe Duke's front court. I mean, the biggest player is 6'9", which is Boozer. They're on the boards, but I think you get some of them 7-footers on the board. They just control the boards. Then it comes out to guard play. Who's going to be able to dish the rock and find an open person?
What's working against Duke is historically a young team. Young teams don't win the tournament. Historically, it's usually those older teams, those teams that kind of been through it. But man, I mean, I look at BYU. That's my sort of my super team.
Yeah.
You got the number 1 draft pick essentially on the court. Possibly. He's looking like it, and he could look. He could solidify his place as a number 1 draft pick, just how he plays in this tournament. But I like BYU and I like Miami. Miami is a,
Yeah.
It's unpredictable. It's so unpredictable. And that's what I love about March Madness. It's unpredictable. Yes. You just don't know. You don't know, and you have to go ahead and buy your popcorn and peanuts and watch the game. That's what I love about it.
That's so true. And, it's something about Miami. I think that, they had that run last year. I think this year the guard play is good. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as quite what it was last year. Clayton was something special. And, their play now, I like the guards, but I just think they're going to run up to this wall during, the Elite Eight.
I was kind of going down a rabbit hole yesterday of like moments, especially here in the area, Charlotte, Greensboro. We host a lot of NCAA tournaments, and I went, I thought about the 1994 here in Charlotte, Arkansas. They beat Duke in the Final Four. As a great moment. Nolan Richardson winning that chip. For y'all, do y'all remember any moments that stick out? And then also I'm thinking about Tyrus Thomas and Big Baby Davis back in the day.
Todd Day. Oh, you talking about that team? Or?
Yeah, that team back in the day. I forgot what year. I don't think they I can't remember.
I think it was Todd Day and Mayberry, those guys.
Okay.
That won it for Coach Richardson. And I mean, again, it's guard play.
Yeah.
They had tremendous guard play during that time. And,
and Corliss Williamson,
And Corliss was us one of them. But that guard play really solidified them being able to be that last team. I think Todd Day had an unbelievable NCAA run, as well as Mayberry.
Muggsy, can you highlight what you mean by guard play for those who may not know?
Well, guard play meaning that, they're very creative, and IQ level's high. They can score the basketball. They play both ends of the ball. but they more steady. They experience. They don't rattle during the moments. It's all about the moments. And when you look at the guard play, and I look at these guards today, and when I mentioned A-Cup Darius, he's so steady. He's really steady. And you did mention St. John. I love what Coach Patino is doing up there. I mean, he got those guys playing at a very high level. I mean, UConn wasn't even, and we know what UConn stands for and how they able to compete night in and night out. Coach Miller had them guys always at the top, but St. John really just derailed them and showed them something I didn't think it was possible. And it was during a big moment. That Big East tournament. So for them to be able to accomplish that and the way they was able to play, I think the momentum, going into this tournament, is going to be huge for them.
Let's talk about some Hornets. The Hornets, man. From what you've been seeing, and you talk about guard play, they're getting tremendous guard play. What has been the biggest turning point for them? Because it's like every season they go in there with some expectation, and then it hasn't been great, and then all of a sudden it seems like, all right. I say all of a sudden, but it's been a work in progress. I mean, they've been hot. They are looking like a dominant team right now. And like they're fighting, they're clawing for that play-in right now to make the postseason. But what sticks out to you when you see the young Hornets team on the court?
Well, for one, they healthy. And, they got their core that became healthy. With Melo, Brandon Miller, Miles, Knipple, and Moose, and Grant came back. So when them guys were being healthy, they started to really, understand what they are all about. And the key player has been Melo. Melo bought in. He understood. I think he really started to understand what he had around him, and trusting the guys. And his play elevated their play. And you could see it all forming, all coming together. Each win kept building up, confidence. Guys are now playing to their strength. A guy like Con Knipple now, who could just play freely, because of the spacing, what Melo brings night in and night out. They got to worry about a guy like that. And he's trusting in this team. He's sharing the basketball. He's really, been an extension of the coach. And you can really see the growth of him. And a lot of folks say, well, what's the difference? Well, it may be because he didn't have those type of pieces around him early on in his career. And him had to play a certain way. Now that he see what he has and what's available to him, for me, as what I'm looking at, what I see, his whole mindset has changed. His whole play has changed. You can look at and see the movement and how he out there and the way he approaches the game. So for me, that's what I see.
I mean, the knock on Melo was, he wasn't a winner. And it seemed
he was hurt.
He was hurt too. He stays hurt. He's not a winner. There was a lot of talk about him being traded, getting Miles Bridges out of there as well. But the Hornets were like, all right, we're gonna keep this young core together. Like how and Eugene, as an athlete, you can speak to this as well. Why is that important to keep a young team and just together and not just trade off the pieces like we see a lot of times?
And when you have core pieces and guys who need to play together, you don't want to separate that. You always want to go with a good core. You always add stuff, but you got to have your core people. You got to have a point guard. You got to have somebody who can dish the rock. And who's unselfish. And I think that when I watch the Hornets, I'm excited for what they can become. I watched that game when the Spurs came here, and it was during a snowstorm or something. And man, the Hornets just went through them.
Yeah.
I mean, like they passed the ball around. Miller was on fire. He had like 29 points. They were just on fire, but they all had their own roles. I'm like, man, these guys, if they play together for a while, you better watch out. They're going to be dangerous because nobody's even talking about them. And they know what they have. And so I'm like Charles Barkley. I agree. I'm like, dude, you better watch out. I think the Hornets are going to make the playoffs, man. I really believe they're going to go ahead and make the playoffs because I think they've been playing some really cohesive ball. And I think another thing that he maybe not say it, but I think that Knipple the way he's been playing, I think he wants to outplay his counterpart in Cooper Flag.
Oh, for sure.
You know, there's something about that. You know, that guy is supposed to be the guy, and you go like this. Well, I'm gonna let everybody know I'm the dude. I'm that cat. You know, and I think that maybe deep down inside, without nobody knowing, I think you're like, hey, you better recognize I'm that dude.
I think he raised the level inside the locker room. I think Melo and them, they saw like this.
Dude,
kid
he
is
raised
balling.
the level.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Khan as well as Sion, and you know the culture has changed. But I think Khan is allowed to play the way he's played because of a guy like Melo. He created space, and he allows Khan to be himself, and Khan don't have to be no one else besides himself. And that's a credit to the team as well and to the players. They complementary to one another. You look at what they all do. Moose, do all the tangible things on the rebounds, keeping balls alive, second opportunities. Melo, again, trusting his teammates, creating space for them, where now he don't have to think that I got to score just to be that player, even though he's scoring at a high clip, but he also distributing the basketball, and the ball is moving around. It's not standing in one place, and you have no isolation. And these guys are really trusting in one another. And you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff, because they're able to understand what they have, and they've been patient enough to not panic enough to where they felt like they need to make a move during the deadline, and they kept everybody, and just to see what we have and what it can possibly be. And now we see what it can possibly be, and I think, again, coaching staff having that understanding, having that, that insight of who these players are and what they're capable of being, and giving them an opportunity to be it, is coming to a fruition.
During your playing days, does it remind you of any of the teams that you were on when you talk about Knipple, LaMelo, you talk about the different pieces? Does that remind you of anything that you've experienced?
Absolutely. It happened during our run as well. Adding pieces, adding the right pieces, I would say. When we got start off, we got LJ, then we got Alonzo. Those are the two main pieces that we was missing. Of course, then we had Hershey Hawkins, Johnny Newman, Scott Burrell, all those other little intangible pieces that made who we were. And that's what you can see with these Hornets, what this new regime is doing. They giving these guys an identity in terms of letting them play towards their strength. And when you have a point guard that has that understanding, who's been, at the highs of his game before, but not knowing exactly how he was getting there. But I think the growth of him, the maturity of him, he understands where his position is now, and he's leading the team in the right way.
I'm excited about the Hornets, man. I'm a diehard Panthers fan. Grew up about an hour away from Charlotte, so I'm excited about the Hornets. That would be something. The Hornets. Come on, man, Eugene. Yeah. Panthers make the playoffs. Hornets make the playoffs.
Don't sleep on the Hornets, man. I'm just saying, don't sleep on these guys, man. They got it going on. I'm down with Charles Barkley on this one.
Absolutely.
I lost 25 pounds, 35 pounds, and I'm down with Charles Barkley. There you go. I'll holler at your boy, Charles.
Guaranteed.
You know that's right. Guaranteed. Yeah. They're really good.
Oh, man, Eugene, Muggsy, thank you for stopping by. One more time for folks about Heartflow. Where can they find more information?
Well, you can find Heartflow. You can go to heartflow.com/Muggsy. That is heartflow.com/Muggsy. You can find all the information about what the capabilities of Heartflow and what game film is all about.
Man, all right, so you got your health information, you got your sports news, you got everything from Muggsy. It's time for Muggsy to go. We're going to have to start putting him on payroll if we ask him.
Payroll.
Oh, I like that.
And on that note, I'm just Muggsy, thank you for your time, man. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you for stopping by. Let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.